Welcome, folks. Today we are discussing Judith Butler's Gender Trouble, specifically the section on identity, sex, and the metaphysics of substance. Let's dive in.
I'm eager to hear your take on this complex section. What's the central argument Butler is making here?
The core argument is a critique of the way we understand identity, particularly gender identity, as something inherent and fixed. Butler argues that these identities aren't pre-existing essences, but are instead constructed through social and cultural practices. She challenges the idea of a stable, unified self.
I see. So she's saying gender isn't something you are, but something you do?
Precisely. Butler uses the term performative to describe this process. Gender isn't something you possess. It's something you enact through repeated actions, behaviors, and expressions. These actions, over time, create the illusion of a fixed identity. It's a continuous process of becoming, not being.
That's fascinating. But how does this relate to the metaphysics of substance? What does that even mean in this context?
The metaphysics of substance refers to the philosophical idea that things have an inherent essence or substance that makes them what they are. In the context of gender, this means believing there's a true underlying gender identity that determines how someone behaves and identifies. Butler argues this is a flawed assumption. She suggests that this belief in an inherent gender reinforces the power structures that maintain gender norms.
So, challenging this metaphysics of substance is crucial to Butler's argument?
Absolutely. By dismantling the idea of a fixed gender essence, Butler opens up space for challenging traditional gender categories and norms. She highlights how these norms are enforced through social and cultural practices, and how those practices create the very identities they seem to reflect. It's a circular process of reinforcement.
But doesn't this lead to a kind of relativism? If gender is purely performative, doesn't that mean there's no objective reality to it? Isn't there a danger in dismissing the lived experiences of those who strongly identify with a particular gender?
That's a valid concern. Butler's not arguing that gender is entirely arbitrary or meaningless. She acknowledges the very real impact of gender norms on individuals' lives. However, she argues that understanding gender as performative allows us to see how these norms are constructed and maintained, and therefore, how they can be challenged and changed. It's not about denying lived experience, but about understanding how that experience is shaped by power structures. It's about recognizing the performative nature of gender without dismissing its significance.
I see. So Butler's work encourages a more fluid and nuanced understanding of gender, one that doesn't rely on fixed categories?
Exactly. Butler's work is a call for a more critical and open approach to gender. It encourages us to question the assumptions we make about gender, and to recognize the ways in which those assumptions shape our understanding of ourselves and others. It's about challenging the binary and embracing the complexities of gender identity. It's about recognizing the power dynamics at play in the construction and enforcement of gender norms.
This is incredibly insightful. It seems Butler's work has significant implications for how we approach gender politics and social justice.
Absolutely. Her work has been incredibly influential in gender studies and queer theory. By challenging the very foundations of our understanding of gender, she has opened up new avenues for thinking about identity, power, and social change. It's a complex and challenging body of work, but one that continues to spark important conversations and inspire activism. And that's all the time we have for today, folks. Thank you for joining us for this discussion on Judith Butler's Gender Trouble. We hope you found it insightful. Goodbye.